that up to 10,000 bodies may remain buried beneath rubble across the Strip.
This comes as many displaced residents of Gaza attempt to return to their homes under a fragile ceasefire agreement.
Among President Donald Trump's first executive orders was one renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
During a January press conference at his Mar-a-Lago residence, Trump announced the decision, citing cartel activity in the region and declaring it's ours.
5 major banks have agreed to offer mortgage relief for customers impacted by devastating wildfires.
The relief comes after fires in the Los Angeles area destroyed thousands of homes, businesses, and other structures, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced over the weekend.
Georgia officials have suspended all in-state poultry sales, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has allocated $590 million to Moderna to accelerate vaccine development.
The funding and restrictions aim to combat flu strains.
The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host or guest and should not be interpreted as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can I get coffee here, please? Damn good coffee and hot.
My dog is your mind's best friend.
I know you think you
My dog is your mind's best friend.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
Another day to not make you laugh. One more day. Not make you laugh. No.
What?
Oh, see, that was the problem. I fucked everything up, and I'm sorry about that. Well, good morning anyway. It's Wednesday fuck up day, not hump day. And YouTube says you're not supposed to say fuck within the first 7 seconds of a broadcast. So I fucked that up. It's Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. Hope it's a fucked up fuck day in your humpty funk day. There's nothing really to laugh about here. I did fuck up because I advertised this as a split author and how to get rich in real estate show. The how to get rich in real estate show is tonight, 8 p.m. on the evening edition. So the author I thought was going to be in the first hour. I got a message from his publicist last night that thinks he's going to be in the second hour because he's on the West Coast. So I said, sure, he could be on the second hour because as it is, I don't have a second hour guest anyway. So we're just going to talk about the worst things possible to talk about in the first hour. And I'm sure that's why you're here, because you love to hear me talk about doomsday. Turns out, well, first of all, the MAGA nutcases are now claiming that AOC is a Nazi because she once was photographed in a still like this, saying this is basically, they won't show you the video, but in the video she's saying it was this high. But that's a Nazi salute because they are defensive about being called Nazi. Here's the good part of that. They recognize, or they seem to at least recognize, that being a Nazi is bad. That's an improvement. Good for them. They recognize that being a Nazi is not a good thing. But AOC is not a Nazi. You know who's a Nazi? Donald Trump. He's also a Roman. He's a Nazi Roman because nothing pisses MAGA Christians off like a bishop basically saying the words and teachings of Jesus Christ. Yeah, they don't like that. It's funny how Christians don't like hearing about mercy and blessed are the merciful. No, that's rude. That's wokeism. Yeah, maybe you ought to check with the guy you're following, because I think those were his words. If you believe the scripture, the Sermon on the Mount, I believe it's number 7. I don't know. You can check on that. Bishop Marianne Edgar Budd, never heard of her before yesterday, but she's now being crucified, or they want to crucify her. They haven't actually put her on a cross, nailed her to a cross, but they would if they could. And she's getting death threats, all because she had the audacity. Be clear here. She had the audacity to ask for mercy. Yeah. And there is an astonishing video where she talks about showing mercy, and Vance and Melania look at each other and start giggling. Mercy. You know what kind of fucking ghoul you have to be? What an evil prick you have to be when somebody is imploring you to show mercy. And you just think that's ridiculous. Let me have mercy. Yeah, right. This is where we are. These are the people you align yourselves with, MAGA. And if that doesn't bother you, you're an evil son of a bitch. I'm sorry. Truth is truth. You got to get used to it. And here's the thing. If you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't do the things Nazis would do. Don't say the things Nazis would say. Nick Fuentes, who is not ashamed at all to call himself a Nazi, is celebrating Elon Musk's Nazi salute. That was full-on Sig Heil, baby. I love it. Sig Heil energy. These are your people. You are what you are, and you can't run away from it. Now, we are on the road to Morocco. No, we're on the road to the Gulf of Mexico. You can't just change a name that doesn't of something that doesn't belong to you, especially. I mean, I could just change the name of Mar-a-Lago to Shitopia. Probably appropriate. But that doesn't mean everybody's going to call it Shitopia. Here's an example. Let's say I buy a social media network that has been known for 15 years or so as, I don't know, I'll make up a name, Twitter. And I say, I want you to call it X. And then nobody calls it X. See how that works? The Gulf of Mexico. But that's the least of our problem. Like, what is calling it the Gulf of America going to solve as far as problems go? Now, part of Ron talks about distractions, and it is all a big distraction because you didn't notice in all the Nazi and anti-Christian fluff that Trump raised drug prices on day one. Yes, your drug prices are going up. Also, he pardoned the Silk Road guy, the guy who was on the dark web, not the black web. I'm sorry. I apologize to anybody who might be a web person. The dark web. He was running a drug, hardcore drug dealership on the web, and this was before Trump even got into politics. So, but the reason Trump pardoned him was his mother. This guy's mother, Ulbricht, is his name. His mother is a big shot in the Libertarian Party. Where did Libertarians even get a party? But he promised her if they would support him, that he would pardon her son. And lo and behold, for the first time ever in the history of Donald Trump, he honored a promise. Not a good promise, but he honored a promise. So I guess in some ways, you could look at that as progress, especially if you have, I don't know, maybe kids you'd like to see overdose, die. That's progress, right? You're making waves. Anyway, yeah, it's just going to keep getting worse, folks. And every day, well, I shouldn't say every day for the next 4 years. For as long as I'm alive, I'm going to be here just bitching about you're backing a Nazi. Yes, I am. And you can either tune out or you can kind of hide there on Instagram, not comment and think I don't see you there. I'm just saying in case your initials happen to be like MC or something. So in the meantime, let's all get like Elon Musk trip out here.
Mind Bloom is helping people achieve life-changing clinical and personal breakthroughs, alchemizing both the psychedelic medication, psychiatric care from psychiatric clinicians, coaches, we call psychedelic guides, and a lot of content and meditations and programs into this really transformational experience that, because it's delivered at home, costs a lot less and is a lot more convenient for people to receive.
Good morning, folks. In the room with me now. Look at Ron's got a whole new background. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be. It looks sort of, I don't know, Roman.
It's a Nazi, can't you see?
I can see just fine. And also the loudmouth, Stephen the Loudmouth Ortiz.
Good morning, fuckers.
And what's his name? This guy with the coffee over here.
So GD funny.
Oh, so GD funny, Fenderson over there. Good morning.
Good morning, America. MindDogTV.com. Today we answer the question, do skyscrapers dream in color? At least we're going to answer that question. I'm not sure if the skyscraper guy is here this morning. I forgot. I wasn't listening. Maybe he's hour two. And yeah, and I am from the Black Web.
Black Web.
Yes.
Now,
we call it Blitter.
You used to be able, when I first heard about the dark web, probably about 10 years ago, there was a Tor browser that you needed. The Tor browser was the way you accessed it. Do you know anything about the dark web at all? Have you been on there?
Ron and Steven probably know more about the dark web than I know.
I probably do.
I mean, I have ventured. I've only done it one time.
Were you drunk?
It requires a Tor browser. It requires, allowing your computer to be basically completely vulnerable. And then, you can basically go in there and find anything you want. And just based on the pop-ups I had, I'll never go back because it was like everyone was like 1 or 2 clicks from child porn. And I'm like, no, thank you. Fucking scary and gross.
Can you use like a VPN or something that will protect your computer?
You have to be on a VPN to access it through a Tor browser. I believe you have to be on a VPN now.
Now, once you're on a VPN, can you like there used to be a thing called anonymous mode. It's like you could create it's almost like a separate sector. At least back when I used to do that kind of shit, I had a separate at a partition of my drive. I would section off. And I would treat it like it was its own computer. It'd be like maybe 1 or 2 megs or something, just so I could go off, and whatever happened there stayed there. It was like Vegas.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's what I had to do. Well, it's not what I had to do, but that's what I did because I didn't want to give my whole computer access or the whole dark web access to my whole computer. So I did the exact same thing. And it's literally just an access point to anything you can imagine. You can literally buy anything from children to adults, any kind of animal you want, any weapons, any drugs, any images, any videos, and your odds of getting caught doing something there are very high because the government are in there heavy. So
wait, why would the odds be? I mean, I thought the whole part of it being the dark web is because it was hard to get caught on it.
Well, the government monitors it. The government monitors it because they know that there's a lot of illegal activity. Now, the thing is, I don't know if there's enough government to catch.
There's
See, none
one.
of this
There's
makes sense. Hold on a second. You're saying like these criminals decided we're all going to get together at the secret hideout to a place where the government can't come, so we can do illegal shit, and the government knows about it. That's what you're saying. So, and the government should
Well, okay, Matt, you know about it, right?
Yes, I know about it.
Oh, exactly. So it's the worst kept secret out there. Like everybody knows it exists.
Not that it's a secret. It's that it was supposed to be impossible to trace all that stuff.
Because
that's the whole point of building it.
Because you have to have the know-how to cover your footsteps or your footprints, and most people are not capable of doing that. So true anonymity, even with the VPN, even on the dark web, isn't really a thing. There's still somebody somewhere logging that you're accessing it.
Okay,
and that is
fine.
always vulnerable.
I'm fine with that. But here's this fucking thing that you're going right over your head. If you're a criminal and you think and you know that, why would you go on there to do criminal activity?
Exactly.
Right. So thinking you're not going to get caught, obviously you are going to get caught.
Well,
I think they're playing a numbers game, because
again, if you're gonna play a numbers game, the numbers are bigger on the regular web. You don't have to go. You got 6 billion people on the regular web. If you're playing a numbers game, you might as well just do it out where all the numbers are.
Yeah.
Does it any of it make sense?
I don't disagree with you. I see what you're saying. It doesn't make sense at all. But people still go there and do it.
We can't explain it inexplicable. We're just telling you what it is.
like every year.
I mean, what they do.
I went on there to buy weed because I saw it on a TED Talk like 10 years ago, and they said the thing that keeps them honest is if you buy weed and they don't send you your weed, you go on there and they'll kill their business with one bad complaint because they couldn't take the complaint down or whatever. So I gave it a try, and sure enough, I got ripped off. I think it was $175 I paid for an ounce that I never got. And then that was the only time I went on the dark web. Like, what? This is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, no, I've never, because my goal was to go on there and get bootleg video games, because that's where I got some, but not all of them, and it was it was too sketchy for me.
There were sting sites all over the dark web.
Yep. Undercover criminals.
Like so now it's just like the dumbest criminals.
Yes. It's people with giant egos that think that they are smarter than whoever's coming after them. And and that's why every year you hear about 2 or 3 people getting caught trying to buy a hitman, or trying to order anthrax.
TV.com/hitman.
Well, yes, but look, we know who the hitman is. It's you throwing whoever they want off of a roof, and that's fine. But
listen, we can customize to your needs.
It's like Cameo.
Yeah.
Thromeo.
But now the MAGA people, right? They are the people of, I don't know, morals and ethics, right? Right? They're good people.
Oh, fuck off.
So, but
situational morals and ethics.
Pardoning this guy, because this Silk Road guy was a bad guy. I mean, by anybody's measure, he's a bad guy, right? And he's not Trump's enemy because he got convicted. It's not like it's like a Democratic. He got convicted in 2013 before Trump was even thinking about politics.
Well, right now, P. Diddy is thinking, or was it Puffy? There's some black guy right now in custody who's thinking, what's it going to take for Trump to notice me?
That narrows it down.
You got a mother who's in charge of the libertarians.
Well, he's a rapper, right? Trump loves his little black rappers.
I did not know that.
Well, he likes Kanye.
This is news to me.
Well, he wants Trump has secret desires to be like a black rapper. He wants to be a black rapper. He wants to have the ability to rhyme, have the skill set to explain things using words and have it almost make sense, to be popular, have people like him.
I thought the thing with Kanye was because Kanye like praised Hitler and stuff. Like Hitler invented the microphone. Remember that?
That and Kanye was also for a while. He was knee deep in Kim Kardashian. That's it. And, and so
that's got to be hard to get out of.
And Trump has a fetish with her. Trump does have a fetish with her.
As you try to pull your leg out, the other one gets sucked back in.
Well, it's kind of like spelunking. You have to tie off a safety line to the bedpost, so when you go in, you still have a way out.
Right.
And have a basketball player spot you.
The thing is, I'm not just speaking from ignorance. I've seen her vagina. So,
wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, her sex tape's online.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And it was online, not even on the dark web. That was just
not even on the dark web. It was on Google.
that was like was it Nickelodeon's People's Choice Awards? It was like there.
It was best sex tape. It was almost a tie between her and Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they played the Super Bowl in there last year, right?
With the Puppy
Bowl.
The
World Series.
Yeah,
the Puppy Bowl.
But it looked empty because it's kind of big.
Hard to fill a stadium that big.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to you, man.
I got Rogan yesterday. I didn't go full Rogan on it. I got, you read something on Twitter and you believe it, and all of a sudden I was ready to talk about it, and I said, you know what, maybe I ought to fact check this. Just feels like too obvious. I read something that said Trump had started the Trump Youth, and he was going to have Don Jr. Run it. The Trump Youth. It's like, you don't want to be called a Nazi, or you don't want to be compared to Hitler. Maybe that's not the best way to avoid.
Even though it's probably not true, it's super believable. I mean, because here's the thing: the way he was talking about his son the other night, the way he was praising him and about how tall he is and how handsome he is and how strong of a leader is, and he won the youth vote by 32%, and he was praising him. I'm like, as soon as you said that, I almost believed it, almost, and I was like, oh, that's very Hitler-like though. So I don't think.
Here's the reason why it's also plausible or could happen in the future. Trump doesn't have any new ideas or original ideas. Every scheme, every slogan he has is something that someone else has already said. And not just said it like in passing, it was like out there in the ether. It was out there, and he just reclaims it and tries to rebrand it. And since we know that his reading material is limited, with his perusing material, I don't think he reads, is limited to Nazi nostalgia. Anything that's Nazi nostalgia, it's gonna just sit in his head like he thinks he owns it.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna say Hitler Youth. Trump Youth. That sounds good. I like that.
You know what? I think what happens is when Melania slathers the Crisco on her strap-on and rails him to completion. Okay, he puts on a Depends, and then she breastfeeds him and reads him the biography of Hitler, and that's where he gets his ideas from.
But he was into that before Melania. He was back with
okay, so he's been breastfed by different women. That's why he swaps them out. They go dry.
Well, I think the big question is why is GD still working today? Because all the DEI hires are supposed to be on leave by the end of the day. So why
you are both supposed to be gone?
I am contracted through March. I have to work through February.
That doesn't matter. You're a DEI hire, buddy. You got to get out.
No,
I get to keep my job because I still have ADA to fall back on.
No. Bear Love,
American Drug Association.
No, Americans with Disabilities Act, dog.
Bear Love is in the chat.
That's ADAD.
Let's say hello to Bear Love. Everybody say hello to Bear Love. Hello, Bear Love.
Good morning, Bear Love.
The reason I bring this up is Bear Love is responsible for getting us a guest who was a late no-show, Dan Rathman, last week. You remember Dan was supposed to come on and then just didn't. He just didn't.
See, Bear, that's why you don't do that. I don't tell people about. I don't tell Matt about all the people I've invited on the show who haven't shown up yet. Otherwise, Matt would say, "GD."
I would.
GD.
This is what I do.
Yeah.
I like to point out how people fuck me.
Yeah. He would say, "GD, you've invited 74 people, and only 3 have been on the show."
So today I'm officially an otter. Bear Love fucked me. I got Bear Love.
Hey, at least it didn't have to happen in an Ace parking lot.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't in the Ace parking lot. It was a Victoria's Secret, Matt's Secret until today. And then Matt let the cat out of the bag. So bears, cats, and otters or something. Anyway, I'm just trying to make Bear Love cry and feel bad about what he did to me. Unless he took away my decency and my humility and all that.
But your hymen's still intact, right?
Dr. Hyman? I haven't heard from Dr. Hyman in a couple of years. I'll check to see if he's intact. I don't. You know what? Now I'm concerned. But I will check with him. What else did I want to talk about? Do you remember? Yes, you remember.
Yeah.
All right. Was it good?
It was actually comedy. It was very funny. Yeah, it was first rate. Yeah.
Too bad I can't remember it. Well, one day.
You want to talk about Fresh Brewed Comedy?
Fresh Brewed Comedy. Now, in the commercial.
Oh, the QR code. Did you get the QR? I sent you a QR code.
I have a QR code. Let's put that up while we talk about. While we talk about what's it called? It's called Fresh Brewed.
I have a question about the QR code now.
All right.
If people are watching on their phone, how are they going to use their phone to take a picture of the QR code?
Just hit actually, they can just hit the photo thing and it will automatically do it. I think.
Let me try it out, guys. Let me try it out.
Yeah.
Ooh, there it is.
No, but you're not watching on your phone. You just took the phone and took a picture of it on your computer, right?
Right.
I just took a picture of the screen, but
right. I'm talking about if you're watching on your phone.
You could take a screenshot and then just do it that way.
Yeah, you can't link just from the screen to the QR code, I think.
No, you have to take a screenshot of it. And then
listen, either take a picture if you're not on your phone, and if you're on your phone, just open up your browser and go to govs.com and click on the Giggle Room. What you gotta do.
Just so you know, in last month, 144,000 people watched this show on their television, like the big set.
So like YouTube TV app. Hell yeah, that means we're TV stars. G, what? Fucking B. There's more holes, but I agree.
Yeah, that's a surprising number because I would have thought, like Gigi just mentioned, that people are watching on their phones more. But I'd prefer you watch it on a big screen.
Well, yeah, if you're watching on your TV set, it's a big QR code to take a picture of.
Right, and you could see Steven's head getting sucked up into the UFO much clearer on a big TV.
Now, why? My question, and it's probably you two young guys, but might know the answer to this more so than myself and Matt. Well, obviously, I don't know the answer because I'm the answer. Okay, Matt, if you know the answer, you can also chime in.
ABC.
Why? How did the Tyrannosaurus Rex get to be the mascot for the center of QR codes? I mean, QR codes is far from dinosaurs, right? Dinosaurs are obsolete.
I've never seen that before. I thought you did that on purpose. When you sent me that thing, I thought, well,
it varies on where you make your QR codes. Some don't have those.
Yeah.
Okay, that explains it because every QR code I have ever taken has had a dinosaur in it. That's why I just thought it was like that because that's all I
remember. A regular QR code.
Codes at dinosaurqrcode.com.
No, it was .net.
No, I get it. It's like I go to a page and you can like right click on something out there and it says create a QR code for this page, and I hit that and that's what I get.
Huh.
And then sometimes I can look at the little dots and tell that they're what page they're from. Occasionally I can go like, okay, yeah, I got the right QR code because it just says QR code, and you don't really know what it is until you have to.
Do we know what QR stands for?
Oh yeah.
Quantum ready.
I was gonna say queer relationships.
Oh my god! Quite right.
See, quite right. Stands for quite right.
I don't know, but
of course I was a giver. I'm very giving in everything I do, except when Steven asked.
So yes, Fresh Brewed Comedy, Friday, January 24th, 8 p.m.
Right,
but
so, it's not coffee that they're brewing though. It's like microbrew beer, I guess, because in the commercial we're showing beer, not coffee.
Well, here's the deal, and I think the person who designed that thing, and also the person who was trying to design it, neither one of them could find a decent cup of coffee that was photogenic.
Was that done using CapCut, possibly? CapCut?
I don't know the answer to that.
Is CapCut back? Now that TikTok's back?
CapCut is back.
Hey, but not only will Fresh Brewed Comedy be that day, but we're also doing a special Coffee with the Dog, right?
Fuck that. I'm out.
Okay. And then I believe GD and I are going to be on Knock 'em Dead Comedy that morning as well.
Fuck that. I'm out.
So it's going to be a whole day of funness and badassness. Let's go.
Right.
We're taking over Long Island for a little bit.
I'll be here doing Fuck That, I'm Out show. Now, Jackie was supposed to be on Friday, and then I moved him to Thursday, and he just texted me that he can't do it tomorrow. So sorry. Like, that's the first time Jackie fucked me. He must have been getting strategizing with Bad Love. How we
see if he wants to come out to Govs on Friday.
I don't think so.
Oof, Bear Love?
No,
he's in like Idaho or something, right?
Jackie.
No,
Jackie's a joke man, Martling.
No, he doesn't even know.
Oh, I got to pull this up. You guys talk amongst yourself while I pull it up, and I'm not.
Oh, not again! I had to cover up. I'm sorry. I'm cover. No. I don't want to see that. Yeah, I don't want to see that.
I got to pull it up.
Let
me pull it up. Can I?
No, I'm still traumatized from the last time.
I'm gonna pull it up.
And then make sure you follow me on my social medias, as I'm going to show you what it's like to spend the day with GD Fenderson in person, in public. So,
wait, I got to pull it up. I can't pull it up. Where the hell did it go?
We're gonna be documenting. I'm gonna have a cameraman with me, and he's gonna be documenting through my Instagram our day together.
I forgot you're gonna have your was that a chauffeur with you, or is it a valet?
He's a valet. Hello, I'm a famous comedian. I have a valet, okay?
I forgot you. You roll deep. You roll. See, Ron, he has a posse. Steven has a posse. He's driving to New York with his posse of one.
Dude, not only that, but check this out. So the car rental thing that turned out to be a nightmare. He's gonna because I did the manager special, right? Which is where he can put me in anything. Maybe, but he was like,
I can't sit down to drive.
When he told me that he was gonna be able to put me in maybe a small size SUV, and I was like, listen, man, I'm in a wheelchair. I gotta have room to put my wheelchair in. He goes, oh, well, how about this? You come in, I'll just pick out something nice and big for you to fit everything in. I was like, really?
We call this the Kim Kardashian.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping I get the Kim Kardashian of like vans or something. I'm hoping for like a really nice minivan, something real nice.
And it comes with an NBA player.
Yeah. I want to. All right, share the screen here. I won't let me share. Oh, window maybe. Yeah.
GD, I told you I will not do any purchases that involve me receiving a black man in return.
Here's the thing from Good Pods. Congratulations, Mind Dog TV. Your mind's best friend has made the following top listener charts in Good Pods. Number 71 in the top 100 indie comedy interviews shows of all time on the chart.
Yeah.
So show that to Mr. Carl Hamburger.
I won't, because it turns out he's at number 50.
I don't think so.
All right.
Is that officially a comedy show? I thought that was just like a
look at number 50. You'll see him right there.
I think it's in the Bash podcasts or category.
Call it what you want. Apparently, I don't understand this. Okay, there's this thing that's called gifts or something. You can gift a show.
Yeah.
And there's like these little coinages things at the bottom. I don't understand what that's all. What is? Are people like gifting you real money when they do that? What is that?
Yes, they're just sending you money. We back in the day, we got a few of those here when we first started. People just use the on YouTube, and a couple on another platform. I think it was Twitch, but yeah, so they can just send you money. The weird thing is, every day when we end the show now this week, we're not on Streamlabs anymore, but every day Streamlabs is sending me a recap of our stream numbers every day. I was like, how do they even know that? Well, we're not tied into them. They're not streaming any of this stuff, but they give me stats on every day's show.
Did you leave Streamlabs? Is your account still open with Streamlabs?
I still have an account on Streamlabs.
Are all the social media still connected? Because it might be tracking the streams on the social media accounts.
No.
I don't know then. It's weird.
I don't know how they're
actually. You know what? Streamlabs does that to me too. When I stream on Twitch directly now, because I used to use Streamlabs, they still send me a recap as well.
Right.
And I don't know how that happens either. So yeah, I don't know.
Not to give Carl Hamburger any more attention than he deserves.
Is that a real person? Because I really thought you were joking. Every time you said
he's the guy who bashed you. They Carl Hamburger. That's his name.
That's not. I thought it was Blind Mike.
Huh?
Blind Mike. It was the Blind Mike project.
Oh, I thought you. It was these pods of garbage or whatever. Whatever that.
Well, they did too.
Yeah. Yeah. The pods. Whatever. Who are these pods? And then who are these garbage pods? You know, the garbage is on a written word, but if there's a garbage can on there, who are these pods? And then they're dumping them into a trash can. So that's called.
I'm surprised you even made the effort to remember. At first I didn't even know who you were talking about at all. I'm like,
honestly, I thought he made the name.
Hamburger. It's kind of hard.
Who's even tracking with this? I mean,
yeah.
Well, Blind Mike, I did only because they spent so much time on me. I thought it was worth me, at least looking into it. I mean, they spent a couple of hours at least.
I was under the impression that it was the hamburger pod that did that. That was bashing you. It was a different one because when I asked who you're talking about, one of you guys said that those people who did the critique on us. I was like, oh, okay, then you're talking about cheeseburger, hamburger.
No, I was talking about Blind Mike. They did a critique on us, and
are there 3 blind mics? 3 blind mics.
One blind mic.
It just really sounds like you're kind of talking about your buddies that have these terrible nicknames, and it's like, who cares?
Listen. If a couple podcasts or any podcast want to talk shit, that's fine, because you know what, that means we're doing something right.
No, I agree.
Anytime I've ever had a hater, it's because they're fucking jealous or they're just not able to put up the same kind of effort we are, and they need to grift off our success.
I said that to Opie last week. I am jealous of all the hate he gets on Twitter and all these people who are just constantly trolling him. That means, if some people are trolling you that much, at least you're not.
In wrestling, we call this being a heel, and we call this having heat. And you want heat because heat, even though it's negative attention, it's attention. And that attention is still going to translate into people on your socials and on your podcast, because they're there to fuck with you. They're still listening. They're still participating. Take it.
Well, so I did send them a thank you, but one of the things that they said was, well, they're going to be at the Giggle Room. We should get tickets so we can go there and harass them. And I went, please do. That's 4 of you right there. Come on. Yeah, 4 people. Yeah. Sure.
I don't think they can come up with $80.
80. It'll actually be 100 because there's a $5 fee.
I don't have a history of being heckled often, but when I have been, I have thoroughly destroyed the person doing it. So bring it on. Bring it on. Let me do it.
I see, and I'm not asking for that because I've never been heckled at a show, and so I don't have that kind of experience. I go
right for the throat. Game over.
Open mics.
There's only here's what I have learned: when somebody heckles you, you just yell, "Your mother's a skank whore," and you're done.
Yeah, I mean, more or less.
Yeah. And then they call me a hack. They said, first of all, not only you're not funny, but you're stealing hack material from Matt Napo.
Right.
And then last time I was, and it would be Matt Napo yelling it. He'd be the one in the audience yelling at me.
I'm just stating a fact because I have a Rolodex of skank whores, and their mother comes up first.
The last time I was heckled, I wasn't actually directly heckled, but I thought I was being heckled. But I turned it into a thing and still won anyway. I was rolling past, and go ahead.
We ever jeckled?
I was not jeckled, but it was close. I was rolling past, going up to the mic, and I heard the guy say, "That guy probably doesn't know anything about getting pussy." He wasn't talking about me, apparently. He was talking to his buddy, but I heard that, and the MC heard it, and he goes, "Be nice." And I spun around and said, "Who doesn't get pussy?" And everyone was like, "Oh." And he goes, No, him. And I was like, "What, you don't get pussy?" And he goes, "Eh." And I was like, "Who you here with?" And he pointed to all of his guy buddies. And I was like, oh. So you think I don't know about getting pussy, but you heard a bunch of dudes. I was like, I have 2 kids, man. How does it feel to know that only half of me works, but I get twice as much pussy as you do? And the whole room went up. And then afterwards, him and his friends came out afterwards, was like, you didn't have to go that hard. And I was like, oh, I had to.
When you say twice as much pussy, you're talking about Kim Kardashian, because that's just one, but it's twice as much.
Yes. No, I'm not black enough to have Kim Kardashian.
Ron, if you got to do something about the color, because you just lightened up, and before you lightened up, that arm behind you looked like it could have been your arm.
It did for a second.
That would be painful.
But now you got light. You got your sweater got lightened, and now you can see there's a distinct difference.
You dislocate your shoulder trying to do that. Both of those ladies who were on yesterday wrote to me, said what a good time they've had, and they'd like to come back and all. Well, I can't see that. It's just
is your blood sugar low or high?
67.
I don't know what that means.
Alarmingly high. He's about to go into a coma.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm going to be chewing on some brown stuff here.
Okay.
I'm going to be putting some nuts in my mouth.
Okay.
Bill.
Who
Bill playing the game. I got a screenshot of it going online soon.
Wow.
So I'm going to be putting nuts in my mouth. So you guys talk amongst yourselves.
So these 2 ladies yesterday wrote to me and said how much they enjoyed being on the show and they'd like to come back again. So just because we've already talked about the size of Kim Kardashian's vagina several times. It struck me that one of the ladies actually asked Ron to bring on the vulgar, and he kind of didn't. He kind of like, no, if you want it, I'm
saying.
not.
When we have guys that show up and they get scared off, or they show up and they get all scared, or they get all fucking pussy about it, like, grow a pair of nuts, guys. We have ladies that come on that are professional women who are educated that come on. They're like, bring on the vulgar. Let's have some fucking fun. And you guys got to come up here with your drippy pussies and rub it all over us and be like, stop with the vulgar. Grow up.
There you go. Now, to be fair, the one guy who ran away last week, well, was it this week? No, I don't remember. But because you said the word faggot, and he said I knew that show wasn't for me, and all I said to him was, "Well, he's a gay comedian, and I don't like to censor him." So
I bet his morals were all twisted then. What do I do?
That's what I was thinking. Like, make this guy feel bad that this is a guy who's got.
How dare you hate on? How dare you Don't hate on a gay man for speaking his truth.
Right.
In the meantime, he's looking up. He's trying to find Steven's information so he can ask him out.
Yeah. I didn't see him on Grindr.
He's gone through like 9 bald men with glasses trying to find Steven.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
he makes me laugh. I like him. He makes me laugh.
Steven's point is exactly right. The women have more. I don't know.
Testicular fortitude.
Right. That.
Yep. They have that. I mean, would they literally say, "Come on, guys, bring on the fun," and then the guys that show up say, "Sorry, you said a bad word."
So when we do have them back, because I ain't gonna invite both of them back, we have to go out of our way to see if we can tweak them a little bit, like to be as vulgar as possible and sexual as possible, and just dirty. The dirty.
Yeah, see, I'm not a vulgar person, so that's when I'm sober. So that's going to be kind of.
Mark Zuckerberg won't let me fact check that, but fortunately, we're not on Mark Zuckerberg. Well, we are, but we're not. That's not my main thing. So we can check. GD vulgar. Check that out.
Now you wrote GD vulgar. There's like 19 other GD vulgars out there.
Grok says GD vulgar is the most Fenderson guy I've ever met. That's what Grok
says. that tracks.
Yeah. So the MAGA Christians. I want to talk about this lady Bud. Have you ever heard about Bud? Bishop Bud? I like the last name. I got to admit, Bishop Bud sounds like somebody I'd like to hang out with for a smoke. Bishop Bud. But so she said, she basically quoted, well, it wasn't a direct quote, but she was saying, show mercy on the people who are most vulnerable, which sounds a lot like Jesus on the Sermon on the Mount to me.
But
But
maybe they were upset because they thought she was doing cultural appropriation. She was like, trying to steal it, like Trump does. He steals other people's lines and stuff and tries to make them his own. And they thought she was,
according to the death threat she's got, according to Fox News, according to Newsmax, that is far radical left wokeism. It's like, but remember, you people are Christian nationalists, and the Christian part should come first, and it does come first. But they apparently find anybody who quotes Christ should be crucified. And then listen, Christ supposedly knew it. He said those things knowing he was going to get crucified. I think she knew it too. Well, it's a little for Bishop Bud for just standing on true principles and saying what she believes, talking truth to power without fear, and dealing with it like a pro. I mean, it's most Christian-like Christian, so-called Christian, I've encountered in the last 50 years or something, that she would stand up to that. I think she should be celebrated. I'm gonna keep on saying what a great thing she did. All she did, again, why this would trigger somebody. Show mercy to the most vulnerable people. Oh my God, how dare, what kind of radical left shit is that?
Okay, because they think they're the most vulnerable people and they don't want mercy.
If you think you're vulnerable, then of course you'd want mercy.
No, they want guns. Then they won't be vulnerable anymore. See, if she had said give them a mercy killing, maybe they'd have went, oh, okay, yeah, but
yeah.
Or if mercy was a rifle brand, like Remington or Winchester, Glock.
Yeah. And it got me to thinking about this whole term Christian nationalist, right? Because it's like oxymoron. It's like military intelligence. The words don't go together.
Christian Science.
Every time I see one of those signs, I get so confused.
That's the biggest oxymoron out there. Christian.
What is it? I missed it. What?
There's
Christian Science.
There's Christian Science.
Well, that's different, right? Those
are the people that aren't those the people that don't seek medical health care? They pray every few ways.
Christian
Science.
Gray's
mother was a Christian scientist, and basically, if he got sick, she would refuse to take him to the doctor.
No, Christian Science is just bogged down in bureaucracy. Because every time I want to do some welding, I got to get a permit from Jesus and wait for this guy to show up. And guess what? He never does. He never shows up, so nothing gets welded.
Wow.
Do better, Jesus. I mean, honestly, you're running a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and these are your reps. No wonder no one buys your bullshit.
Maybe his name's Jesus, and now the golf is being changed, and he's pissed.
Well, he's not running a corporation. No, he's just the CFO. He's just the Christ. Was it Christ-filled Oreo? I don't know what.
Dairy officer.
Okay. Yeah. Now, the other day I asked you, DD, about executive orders and law, right?
I think you did.
I think I did too.
And I may even had a bullshit answer for you. But go ahead.
I don't know if you had a bullshit answer, but now I'm confused because we talked about, and I think a couple of lawyers had backed you up on this, on the internet lawyers, but they are YouTube guys and career lawyers, 30, 40 years in the game, saying how an executive order can't override a law, but he's put out an executive order that overrides the Constitution in taking away birthright citizenship. Now, it would seem to me that the Constitution is bigger than just a law that Congress has passed. A constitutional amendment after the Civil War, saying people were born here are citizens. Just to take that away with an executive order should result in major legal challenges. Of course, he'll win that in the Supreme Court, but
Look, to answer your question, it does. It is resulting in legal challenges. I think that to date, I think there's 15 of them. But I'm gonna pull up I'm gonna see if I can find the exact wording for the 14th Amendment, because there's a sentence in there that they're trying to loophole in there. They're trying to use that as a loophole, and then the whole point is they want to get it to the Supreme Court, and then they're hoping that the Supreme Court will say, "You're right. That loophole does allow you to do this," even though precedent says no one has ever tried this shit before.
Yeah, if you can find out what the hell that loophole, birthright citizenship seems to be, and I know people have denied this when I brought it up, but it seems to be just a door opener to say, okay, because he's talking about taking away birthright citizenship from undocumented immigrants, right? But once you open that door, we could take away citizenship from anybody who we deem to be not, the opposition. Me. That's what take away my. But where would they deport me to? Like nobody would want me. Like I ain't fucking taking him. No.
Maybe they'll send you to Italy.
They just put me on a boat. I'd be like that guy. There was a guy in the 18th century who had no country to go to, and he was just forever on a boat. I think he was the Flying Dutchman. No, that's a whole different mess. But that's what I would be, a man without a country. Michael Landon played him in a movie. The guy.
I bet Canada would take you.
Now Canada is ready for a fight. You know that?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, I think they'd win.
See, I don't know if they'd win, but it wouldn't be a good fight.
I think they'd win. One guy said on Twitter yesterday, "Oh, Canada didn't even take part in World War II. You should sit this one out." Canada is the major reason D-Day was won. They basically were the best fighters on D-Day and did the most damage to the Nazis. Foulmouth has it. Here he says, all persons born.
Okay, here it is. This is what it starts out saying. Sorry, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, comma, and this is the part where they're looking for the loophole, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Okay, that's what that's what they're picking at. Subject to the jurisdiction thereof.
So basically, stating that whatever any laws or regulations they set, they'd be subject to because they're subject to the jurisdiction.
Okay, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Right. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges. Okay, blah blah blah. But it's that part right there.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it surprised me that they actually left that in there. I think that was them thinking out loud.
Right.
They were doing dictation, and the stenographer wrote down blah blah blah, because then it continues. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws, unless they're black, a woman, and of insufficient financial means.
I think that was the quiet part out loud. I don't think the stenographer should not have written that part in there.
No, that's what I'm saying. I think they were doing dictation and thinking out loud at the same time. And the stenographer, was on the spectrum, so he wrote everything he heard. And look, here's Martha Washington's phone number. It's right there.
I think I got that off the bathroom wall, by the way.
For a good time, call Betsy Ross. She sews more than flags. Whoa.
Any incarcerated person could be subject to exile by their new interpretation. But where would they go? Subject to exile, and this is the problem with me. Nobody wants me. Nobody would take those people, right? So
it would probably go to an enemy of the state. It would probably go to a country that doesn't like us because they would assume.
Isn't that all of them?
I mean, yes, but I mean the ones that say it out loud. So probably like North Korea, Russia.
The United States should feel like me at this point.
But here's the other
Nobody
thing.
likes
See, I don't know that they're going to let them. They're trying to parse. They're trying to parse it, but it says a citizen of the United States and the state wherein they reside. So let's say there's a more than a handful of Hispanics in California, and Trump says, "Well, you guys have lost all of your U.S. citizenship," and the governor of California goes, "Yeah, but they're also citizens of us, and we say they can stay."
Right. Falmouth Teacher says Australia was a popular spot, and I stand corrected when I just said that nobody likes me. I know somebody in Australia who actually likes me. So, and I would love
Is that
to go.
Sean?
Yes. Yeah. So, I would love to go to Australia. I mean, I've wanted to go to Australia basically since the start of this movie. So that's a good. Thank you for that. Let's go. Exile me to Australia.
I think
that means I have to pay my ticket, right?
Yeah, I think this whole birthright thing. This is a distraction. It's the real story is leaving the World Health Organization and setting us up for failure. The birthright thing, that's the distraction.
Right.
The WHO thing is more deadly than the birthright.
Well, now who is it? Larry Ellison, one of these oligarchs, is pushing for a vaccine for a cancer. Cancer vaccines. This whole vaccine thing is getting confusing to me because RFK wants to take away all the COVID vaccines. Now, remember, COVID vaccines were Operation Warp Speed, were a Trump thing. So Trump appointed a guy who's calling his own the best thing he did in his first term, the only good thing he did in his first term, the guy who wants to undo the one good thing he did. But now they have a cancer vaccine. I'm just wondering, is RFK going to be against that because he's against all vaccines, right? No vaccine has ever been proven safe.
Well, he says that he never said that, even though they played tapes of him saying it.
Right.
So I don't know what to believe.
Well, you never just said what you just said, and I can't prove it by just playing back the tape of what you just said. But the question remains, not just him, will the MAGA anti-vax people jump on board this cancer vaccine because
of course they will.
Yeah,
they will.
Of course they will.
Yeah, because they can see and feel cancer and shit. COVID, you can tell, like, this is just a bad cold, and this is because Uncle Johnny is 300 pounds heavier than he should be.
That's a 10th Amendment supporter by adding the state citizenship in there. On the flip side, if the state decides to administer citizenship based on their own requirements, it should be allowed by the other 49. I don't know. I did not know Falmouth Teacher was a constitutional scholar.
He's a teacher.
He's just a Google guy.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We all know that God hates the lazy anyway. So,
what do you mean? That's me. I'm the lazy.
Well, because now that the rapture is coming, because we're a Christian nation now. Jesus will probably be back in the next few months, so be ready. So,
wow.
Well, once I heard Trump say that he was chosen by God. Basically because God, allowed him to come back from this assassination attempt. And so he's blessed by God. And so I am moving to have God, if this is what God thinks of our country, then I want the word God removed from our money, from any buildings, from any oath that we take. This says this says, so help me God. I want that stricken from all those things. Because apparently God does not give a shit about. Well, I always believe that, not always, but I believe for the longest time that God was unaware of our bullshit anyway. But that just confirms it.
Unaware.
Yeah, unaware.
Wow, you're calling God an idiot.
No, okay, it's like this.
Oh, I think we have
again.
Even play back the tape.
No, the school of thought that I am from is theosophy. And so one of the rules they have, or edicts in theosophy, is that as above, so below.
Does the Constitution had allowed same-sex marriage and could force one state to recognize another's cancel carry permits if they wanted to take it to go to the Supreme Court. What does that mean?
Basically, what he's saying is if California says that yes, these people are our citizens, then every other state has to recognize them as being citizens and give them the same rights. It's just like it's like you have a New York license. When you drive to Pennsylvania, they don't take away your license and say you're not licensed to drive here.
Right.
They respect New York's,
Yeah,
not that they should, because I've seen some New York drivers.
Did does it say same-sex marriage in the Constitution anywhere? Has there been a constitutional amendment about that I wasn't? Where is that? I'm confused. Is that in there? Same-sex marriage?
No, it's not in particular. But what it is it's basically like a blanket thing. Whatever one state says, the other states accept.
Yeah, that's what Falmouth is saying about driver's license. But I don't get where the same-sex marriage comes in.
Well, driver's license isn't listed in the Constitution either.
Right. So yeah, I could see that one state would have to honor, like if you got married. If gay people got married in New York, they would have to be honored in, let's say, South Dakota, where they hate them.
Right.
But did you also see the $500 billion that the U.S. government's going to pay for AI servers, shit like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skynet, the actual one. The one. If you want to be concerned about any of the AI bullshit, this is the one to be scared of. The one that the government controls.
Right.
Well, yeah, especially because the foreshadowing is so easy. I don't know why people can't see this. We all know that Trump hates labor, so it makes sense that he wants to get rid of the federal workforce because they're not lackeys. But why not invest all sorts of money into AI so you can say, oh, we're gonna fire all these people, then all their services are going to be done by AI. Let me know how that works out for you.
Well, not just that, but then the use of AI for surveillance. We already know that they like to surveil everyone in our own country, so they can use that for facial recognition if they want to try to find more immigrants or people that they think are. They can use the AI to say, "Hey, find Mexicans."
AI gets me more hate mail than the flat Earth stuff. Gets me, and because it gets things wrong all the time. In these little music shorts that I produce, people get really emotionally angry and triggered by the smallest little things. Like if you, Stevie Ray Vaughan never dyed his hair. The AI people said he was known for dyeing his hair. I think he actually did do that in the early part of his career, just like dye like little strands of his hair to match his guitar or his clothes or something. But people were like fucking ready to kill me. They were looking up my address on the web to try to come here and kill me because AI said Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Well, what you should do, Matt, is like in social media where they ask where you live.
Yeah.
Just put the address for Mar-a-Lago there. There's nothing that says you can't do it. Just type in Mar-a-Lago's address and let them go there to look for you.
I think you've been ignoring me all the time. I want them to do it. I just to show up here, but I don't want to see them coming. All I ask is that.
Do you not care about your chickens? First of all, but they come to your house. The chicken's going to come out to protect you. They're going to kill the chickens to get to you. The cats are coming out to protect their meal ticket. They're going to kill the cats. Do you not care about the chickens and the cats?
To do. Henry Hill me, like basically wait till I get in the car, I turn on the engine and sneak up behind me and put one behind the ear. And that's basically what I would like them to do. That's the way to get rid of me, off me. But I don't want to see it coming.
As opposed to slowly dying every day on the show.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now you understand me. Thank you.
Yeah.
If you want more of this awesome stuff, come to Fresh Brewed Comedy Friday, January 24th, 8 p.m. Scan
I
the
wish there was
QR
a QR code we could use to access the tickets for that show. That would be good. Anybody know how to do that?
Do what? Forge a QR code ticket?
The QR, yeah.
Yeah, if you click that, if you do the QR code, it takes you right to the ticket page.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it works.
All right.
Yeah, welcome, Boomer.
Yes, it's $20 for general admission and $64.95 if you want pre-show dinner with show package and upfront seating.
I didn't hear about that dinner deal. That's a good deal.
Yeah.
And for $150, I'll make love to your wife in front of you.
That's in the green room, though.
First of all, Ron is saying that like he would charge them for that.
Actually, you have
Ron
to pay
is
him
like,
not to.
He's only saying that because I'm here and what happened at Ace Hardware last week.
Well, Matt will be in the Gov's
wanted a
parking
refund.
lot January 24th, 8 p.m.
Listen, I went to PayPal and asked for a refund. They said I had to go directly to the vendor and work it out. And I knew at that point it was not going to happen.
Yeah, stay for after the show for the What That Mouth Do meetup.
Wow. Where were you yesterday with this? When we needed you, when we asked you to step up and hit one out of the park.
When she invited you, she says, "Ron, what that do?" And Ron
I'm
goes,
gonna play cards with Ricky Henderson.
Ron's not a fan of consent.
I'm not gonna sit here. I'm not gonna dance.
All right, let's do some news and then we'll meet our guest for today. How about that? Would you like some news? No, you wouldn't. That's why I'm going to play it.
"Well, do the news. I'm going to take care of the thing."
5 major banks have agreed to offer mortgage relief for customers impacted by devastating wildfires.
The relief comes after fires in the Los Angeles area destroyed thousands of homes, businesses, and other structures, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced over the weekend. Fires that ignited earlier this month have consumed tens of thousands of acres, claimed at least 27 lives, and destroyed approximately 15,000 structures. Kyle Norris reporting.
Among President Donald Trump's first executive orders was one renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America.
During a January press conference at his Mar-a-Lago residence, Trump announced the decision, citing cartel activity in the region and declaring, "It's ours." He elaborated, "We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory, the Gulf of America." Lawrence Keller reporting.
The Palestinian Civil Defense in Gaza estimates that up to 10,000 bodies may remain buried beneath rubble across the Strip.
This comes as many displaced residents of Gaza attempt to return to their homes under a fragile ceasefire agreement. In a Telegram post, the Civil Defense stated that approximately 10,000 missing people are believed to be under the rubble of destroyed homes, buildings, and facilities. These individuals are not included in the 38,300 fatalities reported by the Civil Defense since October 7th, 2023. Benjamin Wright reporting.
This is the latest news headlines.
There's more, Al. Al. Wake up, Al.
Veteran journalist Elizabeth Nissen has passed away, her family confirmed.
Nissen died at her home on January 7th, just 3 days after celebrating her 71st birthday, according to her family. Her distinguished career in journalism included a notable report for ABC's World News Tonight on the night of Princess Diana's death in 1997. She also held roles at CNN, The Wall Street Journal, and Newsweek, and was a co-founder and senior producer at NBC Learn. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Teamsters Union members employed at Costco wholesale stores nationwide have voted overwhelmingly to authorize a strike, with over 85% supporting the action.
The union, representing more than 18,000 Costco employees across the country, is demanding a fair contract. Our members have spoken loud and clear. Costco must deliver a fair contract, or they'll be held accountable, said Teamsters General President Sean M. O'Brien in a statement on Sunday. Jim Kender reporting.
Georgia officials have suspended all in-state poultry sales, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has allocated $590 million to Moderna to accelerate vaccine development.
The funding and restrictions aim to combat flu strains originating from birds and cows. State and federal officials confirmed a bird flu case at a commercial poultry facility in Elbert County, Georgia. This discovery prompted state authorities to halt all poultry sales and activities within the state. Kevin Sanders reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
Thank you for that, Al. Now, are the cows jealous that it's not called cow flu?
Probably.
I don't know why the birds.
Well, I don't know why it should be. They had cowpox to themselves for the longest time, you know, and until the patent runs out after 75 years.
Mad bird. Have you ever heard of mad bird?
No, but what it is a patent is only good for about 75 years, I think. So, like cowpox had 75 years, and then we could have like monkeypox. Once the patent is gone, then monkeys can claim they have a pox, and other animals can have their poxes. And the same with bird flu. Once that 75-year period is over with and their patent has lapsed, then other animals can also. Well, actually, I think swine flu had it first. I think the swine.
What you're saying is smallpox was named after Joe Rogan?
Yeah, because he has a smallpox.
I thought I just heard someone finally load their gun and clicked.
But they're talking about now a vaccine for bird flu. You realize half the country is not going to take that and die, right? Or not going to.
It's not for us though. I thought it was for the birds because they're the ones that lay the eggs, and the eggs are expensive.
Is that what the vaccine is for? For the animals?
I hope so, because I don't lay eggs.
No.
Well, if you wanted to control chaos, what would your best option be? Put the country
well, obviously,
Smart.
if you want to control chaos, you
Maxwell
turn
Smart,
on Get Smart.
That's what you would do.
Original episodes of Get Smart. That's how you control chaos.
I thought you were going to say talk all over each other, but no, it's
No.
have a pandemic.
No.
That's how you control
No.
chaos.
You just said.
It could, I think
you give him what he wants. He makes a face. He said, "Talk all over each other." I'm talking over him, and he's upset about it.
I think a pandemic's a real threat for sure. I mean, they're trying to pump up this new thing already. I mean, it's
If you were to declare martial law, what would be the easiest way? Right there.
To say there's martial law.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if you wanted to get a good head start on getting people in their homes and tucking away, pandemic.
All right,
But the thing is, though, is we don't know if people are going to adhere to that like they did last time because now that Trump's in office.
Let me speak. Michael Pepper is probably on the phone to his publicist right now saying, "What the fuck did you get me involved in here?"
Or he could be saying we need more salt.
And he also could be saying, "Where's my light? Anybody see my light?" Because he's looking a little like Jake was looking last night before he had his light turned on. Anyway, he's Michael is a graduate of Princeton University in 1971 who has just written a memoir, and the memoir is called Royal Edge, and he's here to talk about it now. Good morning, Michael. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Nice to meet you guys.
Did I get the prediction right? Or you're on the phone with Lindsay saying, "What the fuck did you get me into here? What kind of crazy show is this? This is not a place where a respectable author will come to talk about his book. This is nonsense in the morning." Were you saying that?
A different version. I was asking questions, but I like all of you. Just in a few minutes, I've heard you, and I can't disagree with what I've been hearing. So
wow.
There you go. No.
Boy, I feel bad for you.
Now, I have a question that comes off the top because of where I'm looking at your book, and it appears as though you're Hispanic because your name is El Pepper.
Well, maybe you don't see the whole cover there. It's
yeah,
Michael Pepper, not Spanish.
Michael Pepper.
Oh, okay. Because I just see El Pepper, and so I thought you were.
It's interesting.
All right, Christ, put your glasses on, GD. Oh
yeah. So, basically, tell us a little bit about this book. 1971. I was 11 years old, 12 years old in 1971. Tell us about this book and why it starts on graduation, right? It starts on graduation from Princeton.
Yeah, so it's interesting. You tell me you were only 6 years old. Your generation probably is somewhat unaware of what we went through. Graduation from Princeton, a big regalia. I was in the first class that graduated women. There were 10, 15 women in my class. So things were changing, but it was basically the old school, 800 guys in my class. So all the special attention of graduating Princeton, I was subject to the draft in Vietnam.
Right.
And in high school, one of our tackles went to Vietnam after high school, and he died in Vietnam. He died in a firefight. So I was very aware it was real. We had this draft. There were ping pong balls in a big jar.
The lottery, draft lottery.
Your birthday was on each ping pong ball. Depending on when you were born, depending on when the balls were picked, there was an order. There was a likelihood. I knew this a year before I graduated that I would go to Vietnam, and I didn't want to go to Vietnam. I had a father who was who had this distinguished flying cross in World War II. He never told me about it until the time I'd been drafted. Until the time I was in the draft, and so that there I was in limbo right after graduation. That's how the book starts.
Now, by chance, did you have the influence to wind up in a Champagne unit, or like maybe even like serve the guard or something, as opposed to actually having to go to Vietnam?
So everyone would talk about things like that, and the easiest route, was a medical deferment. So I went to a psychiatrist, and he said, "Yeah, I can give you some drugs that'll raise your blood pressure, but this is going to be on your record for the rest of your life." Yeah, I went to an orthodontist. He said there aren't orthodontists in the military. So I ended up thinking I didn't want to do any of that. It was dishonest. So I played it out, and I stayed in Princeton, and I found a place to live. And it turned out that
Canada.
Pardon?
You found a place to live, and it turned out to be Canada.
I had friends who went. So, some never came back.
Even after Carter pardoned them.
Pardon?
Even after Carter pardoned them, because Carter pardoned all the people.
Yeah, that's right. Some of them just said, "I'm fed up. I'm not coming back." Wow. So yes, people were allowed to come back, and they didn't come back.
I never thought about this until just this moment, but we talk about PTSD and all that stuff, but a kind of subconscious or subliminal version of that, you're watching the draft lottery and you're hoping your number doesn't come up high in the draft lottery so that your birthday is protected or whatever, and you don't have to go. But in the same breath, there has to be, what you're really saying is, I hope somebody else has to go. And the kind of guilt that I would have carrying the rest of my life, thinking I was sitting there saying, not me, him, because his birthday, that kind of stuff. We don't think about the kind of, long-term, I don't know, it's not PTSD, but it's definitely psychic damage, just pitting.
And what about the women? The women weren't in the lottery, but the women were beginning to be, on the path to equality. They were accepted to Princeton, and they weren't even in the lottery. How did they think about this? When I talk to women in my era, they know vaguely, but none of them had the guttural feel of possibly being drafted.
Well, Matt, what you were just talking about, saying, well, not me, them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If you're driving down the street, and you're driving, let's say, towards your house, and a fire truck drives past you and turns down your street ahead of you, the first thing you're going to think is, my God, I hope that's not my house. But if not your house, then whose house is on fire?
Yeah. Unfortunately, see, I understand what you're saying, but I'm not that guy. And I'm not that guy because of religion, and I'm not a religious person. My father took me to a Catholic mass once. And I remember very well the priest saying, when you say, why me, you're, when something bad happens and you say, why me, you're basically hoping it's on somebody else. And that message went into the back of my 5-year-old brain and stuck there. And I've never kind of adopted that why me. If I see a fire truck, I chase after it and say, how can I help? It's just, and I'm not virtual signaling here. It's just part of my conditioning, like kind of the way it's not like a thought process. It's just like, okay, I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to go to hell.
But on the flip side, he will hang somebody off of a roof.
That's true.
Yeah. Now, Michael, when you were looking at the options of trying to avoid the draft, did you ever think of trying to, let's say, borrow one of Trump's bone spurs? Because he had quite a few, and because he had like 5 deferments. So he must have had at least 5 bone spurs, and none of which can he find to this day. No, so you would have been fine. It'd have just been like a temporary bone spur.
The bone spurs were drafted.
Yeah.
So in the end, I come to the conclusion that I don't want a phony way out. I'm going to see my way through, and if I get drafted, I'll deal with it. I
applaud that, sir.
I wasn't going to leave. So bone spurs, mental health, dentists. No, I decided to sit it out. And so think of today. Think of if there were a draft today. What would happen? There were Vietnam protests. You know that in those days.
Yeah, right.
And could we even assemble a large group of young people that would
But
go.
didn't we, after we got rid of the draft, didn't we reinitialize selective services? So people still register,
Oh, yeah.
but they're not drafted. They're just registered just in case there is a draft, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So without disclosing too much about the book, and I'll tell you, anything you want to know, I get out because Congress has a debate over whether or not the draft law should be extended, because it ran its time out, and that debate took 3 or 4 months, and during that time period, all drafting was halted. So in the end, I don't get drafted.
Right.
Okay, because I was about to ask you, because my next question, I was going to ask you if you survived Vietnam, but you didn't have to go, so you don't have to answer that.
We all survived Vietnam, basically.
Yeah.
It is not to dwell on the Vietnam thing here, but Vietnam is the and I wasn't 6, I was 12 in 1971 when you graduated college, but it is the defining thing. It has defined my life in so many ways. Even though I was a young person, I knew I had a lot of friends who went. I had a brother who almost went. I had cousins who went, and every day we got bad news of somebody from our neighborhood who got killed over there. So, and in my high school, there was a whole memorial, an early memorial to the people from my high school who went to Vietnam right after high school and never came back. So, it still is something that I'm fascinated with. And it's one of the defining things in my lifetime that I will never get over. And I've talked to a lot of vets from that era. Just it was because it was all contrived fear of the boogeyman of communism that was going to come here. That wasn't ever a real threat, and we lost 50,000 lives, and how many more maimed? 400,000 people severely injured. For what? For a lie. And so,
well, there was also self-preservation, Matt. You have to realize that after World War II, when we were fighting Nazis, we brought the Nazis here. So it was like the domino theory. We brought the Nazis here inside of our government, and the Nazis said, "Wait a minute, we're going to take this over. We need the communists coming over here interrupting our gig." So it was self-preservation. The Nazis in our government were trying to keep the communists out. That's all.
Okay. Moving back to the book now. You met a former Russian countess. Now, at that time, the Cold War was still on, right? Any kind of ambivalence about getting involved with a Russian at that time during
Russian Cold War wasn't her subject. She was the great granddaughter of Alexander II. So here I'm walking through town, looking for a place, to live. A woman's having trouble getting her grocery cart out of a grocery store that still exists on Nassau Street in Princeton. I ask her if she knows of a place, to rent, and we walk to this house, and that's the house her sister lives in. And after about a week or so, I find out that she is a great granddaughter of the Tsar Alexander II. And so the next 9 months, it's this woman, Ella, and myself talking. We had dinner every night. We had guests every weekend I was there, mostly the same people. But I learned a lot from her about life perspective during a time when, I was afraid to be drafted. I had a job. I got a job at Rutgers University, kind of in the field I was working in. It was urban planning and architecture. But every night there'd be conversation, and the biggest part of the conversation, not only watching how she lived her life, was how she escaped the Russian Revolution, and how she found a way to live a royal life, even though she lost her royalty.
Well, she must have been older then, escaping the Russian Revolution. I'm thinking that's like 1914 or something. I don't even know my history.
1917. But she was born in early 1890s, and yeah, she was a much older woman, but she was totally conversant. And
I'm just thinking of the because it sounds like a great movie scene. This young college graduate getting together with this older lady and just having deep conversations.
All
That's,
right, take it easy, Matt. Take it easy.
Yeah, it's like Mrs. Rabinsky. Are you trying to seduce me?
Yeah.
And I watched that scene for over 4 hours. I spent over $600 at the movies just to burn it into my mind.
Yeah. I mean, of course, I envisioned it that way too. I grew up in that generation. I read a lot, but of course, to see it on film,
right.
And I learned a lot from her. And
what about the people, your classmates who you just graduated with? Were they aware of this kind of, I want to call it a relationship, a friendship that you had with this older Russian lady? Were they aware of it, and did they were they jealous? Did they comment on any of it? Or, I mean, it just seems for somebody who is intellectually curious. To me, I would love to have those conversations, not thinking what Ron's thinking, but I'd listen.
It's interesting. So the answer to that, no. One or two friends may have known that I stayed on in Princeton, but it wasn't until years later that I started talking about it, and I started, recalling it. It was an extremely important experience in my life. At the end of the 9 months with her, it was the first time I went to Europe. I took a very inexpensive ship, the Christopher Columbus, it was called, across the Atlantic, and I hitchhiked through Europe, and it started with me going to the Olympic sites. There was an Olympics in Munich, Germany at the time, and I didn't realize, and I was looking at the architecture as a young architect, and I didn't realize that one of the biggest death camps was in Munich. So I went to the death camp. I was one of the only ones there that day, and I saw the depths of humanity. I saw what a person like Elizabeth would have experienced with her family being slaughtered. And then I kept hitchhiking, and I end up in Paris. And if you've ever been to the Royal Opera House, it's one of the most beautiful buildings in the world, and it's a high point of humanity. So so that was the journey. And it ends on that high note. Over the years, I started talking to my three daughters about my experience with the Countess.
Wow!
We would be hiking. We'd be on long hikes, and sometimes painful for them. And they liked the diversion of me telling them stories. And then I took my phone and started recording the stories. That's how it came about. As a life tutorial. You don't have to be born royal to live a royal life. And they would say, well, what does that mean? And I would have the example of someone who experienced the low points and found a way to recreate the high.
What brought her to New Jersey? Was it academia, or was there another reason she settled in?
That's interesting. There was a small community of royal Russians who found their way to not only New York City but Princeton, and she was part of that. This was her second husband, was a strategic composer, and he worked. He was like he was like a shadow to Stravinsky. There was a grand piano in our house. I listened to the music. The music is available now. And so they made their home in this house, and he died about 2 years before I met her. So she was at the beginning of some loneliness. There was a priest living in the house who moved out the week before I moved in, and as a Jewish guy, I wasn't familiar with sleeping in a bed with a big cross over it, but that was my introduction, and I always thought there was something spiritual going on in that house. We had a lot of fun. There were tears, and I learned a lot. This woman took an exception to the recommendations of a royal family, and she volunteered as a young teenage person to work in a military hospital, and you see in the reading how that changed her life, that changed her perspective on her life.
Yeah. Were you aware of what a gift, because you know what, as a young person, you kind of take the moments of your life for granted, and this is just where I'm at now. But looking back on it, what a tremendous gift this was to be able to have these conversations with somebody with that kind of life and understand a whole lot culturally, philosophically about a world that most people in the United States were not privy to. And what a gift that was. Were you aware of the gift that it was at the time, or was it just in self-reflection and when getting ready to write your memoir that it occurred to you what a blessed life you've had in that respect?
Definitely the latter. So yes, it was a place to live. I always had best friends growing up, men, young men and young women, and all of a sudden, my best friend is an older woman. So it was this best friend, but I still had other things going on. No, it was only later on reflection, and it was especially young daughters around, raising them, advising them, and so putting it together, hoping that other people will take from it what I got from Ella, passing Ella's message onto other people, especially at a time like this.
Right.
So how much did your experience? So how much does let's put this? I'm trying to word this correctly. Your daughters. How much of Ella's influence has been passed on to your daughters?
I would say not as much as I would like, but I'm trying. I'm trying, and the two of three that have actually read the book now, gotten through it. One has difficulty with reading. They see it, and I hope they use it as a reference. But I think it may take time, like it took me time, to absorb the story, the experience, and the guidance.
Stephen and Ron seem to be looking at the same thing. What I'm looking at is how sci-fi GD was just looking with that blade of sunlight going across his face. He looked like, I don't know.
I saw
it. It was wild.
I was concerned. That's why I looked up. I was like, wait a second, what is happening?
Yeah, it was kind of scary, but kind
Rapture.
of like, wow, that's cool. And now he changed it. He must have started and just like killed.
I was trying to ignore it, but it kept getting lower and lower as the sun was moving.
It was. I think we need to get a screenshot of that. It was very. I don't know, movie.
Because it started up here, and at one point I was like, "That's where my hairline used to be."
Well, I'm glad you finally admitted to having a receding hairline.
I never denied it. I still have a full head of hair, though.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Now, the challenges of writing a memoir. I'm familiar with my own challenges of this, and because you're going by your memory, did you have any kind of contemporaneous notes that you had written during it? Anything to reference to make sure? Because as we get older, we kind of romanticize our memories and all that stuff. When I was trying to write a memoir, which I never completed, I was confronted by my ex-wife saying, that ain't what happened. And friends who said, I don't remember it that way. In writing a memoir, did you come across any of those challenges? And did you have references that you could go back to make sure your memory is clear on these?
Well, certainly there are references, to the historical facts, of the Russian Revolution. There's a family tree, how she's connected, to that. But the day-to-day experiences, they were ingrained, and they came out. And I take license when I talk about what wine we had. I don't take license with what foods we had, because I was eating different foods than I'd ever had before. I grew up in a kosher house, and now, they're telling me it's my job as a man in the house. There were 3 women there on a weekend to carve the leg of lamb, or carve the pig. So those left great imprints on my memory.
Now I'm curious now, because you grew up in a kosher household, which means you had not had pork. the first time you had it, did your body have trouble digesting it?
Oh God,
Did
no.
you, did you go like, did you eat it and like run to the bathroom with diarrhea, or did it go down just like, whoa, what have I been missing? This is bacon. Holy shit.
It's funny. So we had a fairly strict kosher house in the house, but outside, and especially as I grew older, I blended in with the rest of life. But I do remember the first time I had pork, and I was like a sophomore in high school, and there were three of us that were working at a summer camp in a YMCA camp in Colorado, and we were young, healthy, hungry guys, and they served us these sandwiches. We thought they were turkey sandwiches, and at the end, one asked what it is, and it's pork, and we were wondering, should we make ourselves throw up? We three Jewish guys just ate these pork sandwiches and loved them.
Now was it pork like Spam, where it could be like any part of the pig, or was it like, because I'm thinking, because I mean there's pork and then there's pork, you know what I'm saying? You can get like bacon and it's not cut with anything. There's pork chops and it's not cut with anything, but then you can get a hot dog and you don't know what it's cut with, or bologna and you have no idea.
No, this was the sliced meat that was leaning towards white meat, and with the sauce on it, we were able to think that it was turkey until we were done and someone asked the question.
Yeah, one of the jobs I've never mentioned on this program is when I was a young man, I was a counselor for the YMHA, Young Men's Hebrew Association camps, and I was the only Gentile in the in the teachers, the counselors there. And I remember the head counselor, we were having lunch, and he ordered bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I said, "Wait a minute, aren't you Jewish?" He said, "Yes, I got dispensation from the Pope during World War II." So,
and he's joking, but I think a lot of military guys had to feel that way. It's like I'm not in the setting. Part of eating kosher is to create a setting with a fence around it, right? So when the fence isn't there, it doesn't make sense. You're out there to survive and enjoy.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Russian culture. Did you get being an urban architect, urban planning guy? Were you really interested in the Russian culture? Now, obviously, the architecture from over there, but the other parts of Russian culture. Were you a aficionado, a fan of that kind of stuff?
No. I took some Russian language course when I was in high school, because Russian language was just beginning to be taught in America. So there are times in the book we're toasting, and she's helping me, pronounce the toasts.
Wow.
Russian culture, there was music and art, and. Right. She introduced me to some of that. Let me just give you an example of some of the art that was in the house. She goes on a trip to Europe with her sister and to two artists that worked on Broadway, lived there for a summer, and they painted the first floor of the house. And these were, if you know pointillism as an art form. They painted the walls, and even today, if you go into the house, there's no frames. It's a stucco wall. You can't remove them because it's on lath. But yeah, we were surrounded by art, and all I'm saying is the Russian culture. They moved from Russia to France, and she lived in Paris. Those were things that surrounded me. Let alone talking about it.
Right. Now, I had one day in my life where I actually was in the presence of royalty. People who grew up in royalty, princesses of Monaco, Princess Grace's daughters, and her. But it struck me as like, these are different people. When you grow up royal, you have a whole different perspective on the world. You had months or a long time with somebody with that. Did she still carry that air of royal? Because they look at the world differently you would have to, growing up in that kind of world where you're almost, you think more of yourself than everybody.
So I say no. What made her royal was not that she was born into a royal family. that became clear to me when I hear how she escaped, the slaughter that so many of her family didn't escape. What made her royal was the way she chose to live, and ultimately the message is you can live a royal life. You don't have to be born into a royal family. These
Wow.
opportunities are available they're available to all people on various levels.
Right.
So no, she did. I'll tell you one thing. You might say, you had to be a born royal to be spoiled like this. But there was a tailor. So the tailor would come from New York. Every 4 months or so, he'd stay a couple nights. Uh, uh, and so he's a black guy. So here's Mike. Here, and I loved him because he would sit at the dinner table and we would enjoy his conversation. He did have somewhat of a British accent from one of the islands, but he would make their clothes. They were that. So that is from their royal history. And what were their clothes? They were women's house coats that my mother would wear around the house. But they would choose the fabrics. And there's one scene where I see him open his box of fabrics, and she's choosing what turns out to be her death gown. So she's choosing a dark red velvet gown that in the end she wants to be buried in. And people that were at the funeral, I asked them, and they said, yeah, that is the gown she was buried in. So you could say, yeah, you had to be born into royalty to even think about something like that. But I think it was a fun gift that the women, they're girls now, they were old ladies to me then, gave themselves.
Yeah. Why did you? What made you decide to write this book, and who did you write it for? I think when anybody writes a memoir, they're writing it for themselves in some way, as therapeutic or just trying to make sense of their life or whatever it is. But was there something? Was there a larger intent, like a message, or an intended target for that message in
Well,
writing?
the initial target was to leave something for my daughters.
Okay.
Knowing that all of us go through challenges. How do you face those challenges? How did this woman face incredible challenges? So there's a message, and then as I write, I think there could be there is a broader audience for a message like this, especially now. And then writing it for myself, I loved just sitting back and recalling the memories. And a lot of it was done while I was on long hikes. Sometimes these hikes are, 8 days. There's nothing treacherous going on, but day to day, you stay at a different inn, and I'd have my tape recorder and I would talk. And all our memories are in our head somewhere. It's just a matter of how our filing system works.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be out there in the fresh air for days and you go, oh my God, that's what happened. That's why she told me that. Yeah. And you write it down. But
so funny how we live our lives like searching for meaning, and then we get older and we kind of try to figure out what that meaning was. What was this ride all about? It's like being on a roller coaster and you realize, what, the end is probably a couple of turns around a bend here. But now what the frig was this all about? What did I get out of it? Why was I born? And that for me, that's what made me want to write a memoir. Again, for me, it was a very difficult process, but I'm gonna put a little pressure on Lindsay here. You are represented by my friend Lindsay, who's a publicist, who somebody else who was represented by her fessed up that something I didn't know about her, that she has lots of connections within the film industry. And I think this book would make a compelling film just from what I'm hearing about it. I hope you'll put some pressure on her to kind of bring it around to
thank you. I didn't know that. Thank you.
That's what I call schlong division.
There you go. It's some Yiddish in there, I think.
Yeah, yes. But have you considered that? What, because Ron is our show business guy, and we talk all a bit about sequels and Marvel, and they just keep making the same movies. This does sound like
maybe it's because I'm an old curmudgeon, but it sounds like a movie that I would definitely pay to see. It sounds like something that it's a real story about real people with some real significant meaning to it. It would make a fabulous film. Have you given any thought to that?
I have. It's not like I have a publisher. I'm out there on my own. At this stage, that anyone would see how many more books are in him. So I have spoken to some people that know people, and then they say, you got to be represented. So my best hope is that someone reads it who does know a path toward that. I'd love to see the message get out.
I would get a couple of names from people from Hallmark Channel and Lifetime Network, and just send them some copies of the book, unsolicited. Just send it to them, and
Is the Hallmark Channel still a thing?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
Get yourself put in a hospital. There's like there's two of them. It's horrible, man. That's all that's on there the day. It's fucking
Steven is
horrible.
our resident hospital specialist, hospital correspondent. He's in there 3 times a week. Thanks for sharing that. Now,
Actually, stay away from Hallmark. Don't do that to yourself.
For the people on the radio side, hey, what's going on over there on the radio side? The cover, we're looking at the cover. Again, the book is called Royal Edge, and there's an Amazon link in the description for it. Now, on the cover, somebody is standing on rocks it looks like on the Jersey Shore, but it could be any shore. But I'm assuming, I don't know if that's her or a young you looking on the rocks. What is the significance of the cover?
And so I love the way you say her by numbers picture.
So we especially war protesters, had long hair. So that is me in the pea coat. That's the orange and black scarf that you see typically at Princeton. And now what you wouldn't know, and
we just lost audio, or did I just lose audio? You guys still here?
Lost audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's not you. It's him.
It's him. You keep talking. He wasn't listening anyway.
Okay. So there's several different ways you can look at the cover, but one of the ways I talk about a book that I carried with me from high school, and I read it again in college, Catcher in the Rye.
Something is screwed up with me here.
So
I don't know. I pressed one button, and now I'm all broken. Hold on. I will be. You guys talk among yourself. I'll be right back.
Okay. So we're here. You want me to keep going?
Yes. You're talking about Princeton.
So here we go. Catcher in the Rye. And, the essence, in my view, of that story is you've got the lead character standing on the edge of a cliff, and children are playing in a field catching butterflies, and his younger sister, who he wants to protect from what he calls phony adults, if she or any of them get too close to the edge, he catches them and throws them back. There you have Catcher in the Field of Rye. I'm standing at the edge and saying, no, you don't want to protect children from growing up. Let them have their beautiful childhood, but growing up is a beautiful experience that everyone should be encouraged to go for, and that's what it is. They're contemplating this. Because I'm subject to the draft, and I find this woman who helps me think and desire to keep going, and embrace becoming an adult.
Wow. Very cool. I lost the audio there for a second. I had to bow out and come back. But I agree. There is just so much to that whole experience of growing up and all that. Now, did she leave behind descendants here, and are you still in touch with them in any way?
I'm not, and I don't believe anyone is still around. She had a son who had already passed away at the time, and a daughter who lived in Paris. And I tried to get in touch with her on several occasions. and never made a connection.
In some ways, this feels like, yeah, and it is. It's a connection to history, which most people, 99% of people walking the planet right now don't have any, like somebody you could actually look up in a history book and find out about, and having a meaningful connection in your life, which is, I don't know if that makes an impact on your psyche, but just realizing just how special that relationship was. It's incredible to think, again, I had one day with Princess Grace. To have months and months with somebody who I could look up in the history book
No
and find.
question.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And
Yeah.
over the years, it became more and more clear that I was incredibly lucky to have that experience, and that I took it in. I don't know that everyone would have seen her. I got to see her. I opened my eyes. I lived with it. I took it in. Yes.
Wow. Now, in writing the book, is this your first book that you've actually sat down and wrote a book?
It is the first book. Yes.
Was that challenge? Did you have like a line editor and all that kind of stuff working with you to get you through that?
After I put all the tape recordings together, and then I wrote what I call bookends, the introduction and the end. I worked with several people to help me get the story out, and they gave me ideas. I didn't necessarily take them all. And then there was a person toward the end that served as an editor on language and grammar, and that also helped. And it's a great process because you can listen to opinions and you take what you agree with, and you discard what you don't.
Right. Have you done an audiobook yet?
I have not done an audiobook. I know from one of my daughters who doesn't necessarily like to read that there are systems where we were having lunch and she showed me that she was able to get it onto audio with a program that she had.
Wow.
It's interesting. So
can I ask, how old is the daughter who doesn't like to read?
I mean, she reads an awful lot, psychologist.
Oh.
So but she's not necessarily what I would call a reader, but Michelle is 30.
Well, this is my concern, is that I feel like the people under 40, especially, just don't want to read, and we're becoming voluntarily illiterate, not illiterate, but non-literate. Not people don't want, and which is why I started interviewing authors in the first place. I felt like, you know what, everybody is buying audiobooks or listening to audiobooks. There is something really different about the experience of sitting down with a book, turning the pages, and absorbing the material that way, that I think we're losing as a culture, as a society, and I hate to see it go. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know. We do our part to try to keep people reading.
Yeah, I agree.
See, I'm 33. I love the feel of a real book. Like, there's nothing better than a new book, sitting down, cracking it open, and reading it for the first time. Maybe putting notes in it. If you're real invested in it. Like really making it yours. Like, and then being able to revisit it.
What was the last thing you read? 50 Shades of Grey?
No. The last book I read was about TEDx talks.
Okay. Well, Michael, I hope you do get this made into a movie. Now, if we can, well, when I heard about what you do, I couldn't help but think about George Costanza. He always wanted to be an architect. And then he went out and found the kid who he was trying to mentor into being an architect. The kid had bigger aspirations. He wanted to be a urban planner, a city planner, and that rubbed George Costanza the wrong way. Are you still involved in that aspect of your life, in architecture and urban planning?
I am, but only in piecemeal ways. If someone calls on me from an old network, there's a project in Hollywood I've been working on for years, and it could come to fruition. Of course, there's going to be a need for housing. I end up being an advisor on putting it together, managing the drawings, managing the construction, and it can be a lot of fun. So hopefully that will happen. But yeah, I love my career. I was very lucky with the projects I got to manage.
Well, the architecture and city planning and all that kind of stuff is a high esteemed position, and we hold it up there with doctors, lawyers, and all professionals. I'm just curious, what drove your passion towards that? What drove your interest in architecture and going that way with your life?
Yeah, yeah. So it's interesting. I always enjoyed the arts. My mother, who coincidentally is also an Elizabeth, loved art. Would take us to classes at the Art Institute of Chicago, and had us reading as young people. So I had that influence in my house. And then when I got accepted to Princeton. The challenge was I was surrounded by people. You know what your scores are, your test scores when you get into college, and my math scores were really up there. My verbal scores were questionable, and so it's like, oh, I'm going to lean towards something that uses more math than me having to read whatever huge numbers of books each semester. And I love the architecture school there. And it was after Ella, after Europe, I started looking for jobs, and eventually, this was maybe 5 years after college, I got hired by the people building the World Trade Center.
Wow!
So and I became the lieutenant to the guy managing the project, and they started building in Chicago, and they gave me a nice position, and I got to see and learn architecture and construction and management and business, and I carried that with me for many years. Got to work on great projects, met incredible people, and then eventually went on my own simply as a consultant.
That is a compelling story because you're a young person still, because that's the 70s. You're just a recent graduate from college, and you're working on one of a landmark human achievement that would later become iconic for a whole other reason. But wow, I mean, so where the book ends, there's probably a second memoir coming, no?
I don't know. I don't know if I have the time and energy, but the desire to write a book about it was the tallest building in Chicago at that time. All that's involved in putting together a skyscraper, the wheeling and the dealing, the politics, the money, the engineering, the risk. It would make for an interesting story that I think people have no idea all that it takes to get one of those up.
Yeah, I hope everybody, and I don't say this like flippantly, I hope everybody has the opportunity to look back and count their blessings and look at their life and say, wow, that was a unique experience. That's what the ride is all about. In my view is how was my life meaningful, and how can other people learn from it, and how can I share those meaningful experiences with people. So I appreciate you being here and sharing the book. Book is called Royal Edge. It's available at Amazon. Is it also available someplace else? Because I didn't find a website that wasn't given.
I think Barnes and Noble, Mind Dog, and the website's being created right now. So eventually that'll all be available.
Well, good luck with it. If you do decide to write a follow-up or a second memoir, please feel free to come back here and I'm going to tell Lindsay to get on her movie people to read the book because I want to see the movie.
You guys are great. It has been my privilege and pleasure to spend time here today. And I'm going to be watching the show. I love the way you choose your subjects. I love the way you handle your subjects, and all of you are very interesting. So
I appreciate that.
Michael.
We've had a guest run away in the last week, an author run away because he was afraid to come on. He heard us in the back. He was sitting in the back end while we were talking and ran away. So that's good. That's reassuring. Thank you for saying that. Have a great day, and really, please come back. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Laheim.
Michael Pepper. What did you say?
I said Laheim.
Laheim. Like my cousin Haim?
It's to life.
Inside me.
I know.
Oh, I didn't know. I mean, I knew you were
I
a
know.
counselor, but I didn't know
Get a book
if
out.
you spoke Hebrew or not.
Royal
coming
for
you.
I almost want to paint that. I almost want to paint that now in the painting
You
class.
should try to paint it. Put your own interpretation on it.
One of the things I meant to ask for, Matt, you might know about this because it was talking about pointillism. And when I was in high school, we had an art project and we had to do something in pointillism.
And
I did currency because if you look at a dollar bill, it was all dots.
Right.
And so I created my own currency with my face on it.
Remember when printed computers and like personal computers first came out and the printers were all dot matrix?
Dot matrix. Oh my God, yeah.
Nope, I was born in the realm of laser jet printing.
That, you know what? People should take that to a next logical step in art and stuff. I did. Yesterday, I took a survey from some marketing company about their terrible, terrible website that they had. Everything, all the graphics look like 1980s or even late 70s video game stuff. And they wanted to know my take on it. It's like, for somebody it just makes me angry. I don't care about the product now. You're making me angry with these graphics. And it's just one question after another. I just kept getting more rude with my answers. Like, I feel like I want to kill myself because you're making me give a review of this website. But that dot matrix stuff, I think, has a lot of, I don't know, potential for.
Hey,
for art.
people make art out of the weirdest things, man. There's these Asian kids I saw on TikTok.
They were making art out of them. I saw it. They were making art out of the little Asian kids.
No, they were making music out of barcodes. They were making music out of barcodes, and it was really cool. Like it was the weirdest thing. And they had there was 80 different barcodes up on this wall, and each one made a different sound. And he was making music out of it. It was the coolest shit, dude.
There's a church I'm trying to think, it's in Europe, but I can't remember. I'm going to just say Italy because I think that's where all the churches are. But the wall is decorated with these patterns, and the patterns turns out to be the vibration. If you played certain notes over sand, it will create these patterns, and that's what the wall is. Each pattern is a different frequency.
Sound wave. Wow. Oh yeah, that's neat. That's cool.
That is very cool.
Oh my God, everybody. Breaking news. Whitney Cummings lists her LA home for $13 million.
That's good. Or just the ashes.
She's probably moving to fucking Austin, dude. She's been on Kill Tony a ton lately. She's at the peak of her popularity. She got a bunch of hate from New Year's Eve, and I bet she's moving to Austin.
That popularity. That's an odd way because everybody I see hating on her like big time.
I've even seen other comics now. They're talking about Austin. They're like, "Don't move there. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah, it's turning into a thing.
She fits in there because she's made a hard right turn, right? Or is that my perception?
That's a shame. I used to really like her. I thought she did a lot of good stuff for the community.
I don't know if I'd call it a super far right turn, but I mean, it's definitely a little far righter leaning than it was.
If you watch her with Bert, she is definitely
she was on.
She has a shit ton of money, so she probably doesn't want to pay any taxes.
Oh,
yeah.
So that's all it is. And you can actually, it's funny if you start to look at comedy, you can actually start to see. It's been going on now for months. You can start to see that separation happening from Austin. Yeah, there's still a lot happening in Austin, no doubt, but it definitely feels within the industry of comedy, it is definitely separated. Especially,
Ron, I'm sorry, but every time you do it, it looks like you're separating ass cheeks.
Yeah, and it definitely, especially with this whole fucking Trump thing, and you see comics like Theo Vaughn and guys like that at his inauguration. And I mean, Theo Vaughn makes sense. I mean, we know because of maybe he's slow.
Joe Rogan, the Logan brother or the Paul brothers were there.
Yeah, and Dana
Tyson
White
was there.
Yeah, and I love asking on comments. It's like, oh, is Dana White there to teach the proper way to slap your wife?
Yeah. Yes. Dana White was in the shot with Rogan and Trump. So, yeah, he was there.
Mike Tyson was there.
Remember, use an open hand, guys. An open hand.
And no jewelry.
Theo Von had me thinking last night, like, he got famous for what? Because his stand-up was never like exceptional or any of that. You know, it's all subjective, but I don't think he was ever considered like a top comic.
What got him?
The Fighter and the Kid, right? That podcast, the Brendan Schaub thing, is that where he got?
Well,
fame?
I think in general, what got him more mainstream is podcasting in general, because he's a clip machine. Because he says the most dumbest off the wall shit, and his clips go viral. And that's what really,
I like that. I think that's funny, man.
And like a few weeks ago, like Anthony Jeselnik shook the cage a little bit and started asking comics. It's like, are you a podcaster or are you a comedian?
Right.
Make a decision, guys. Make a decision.
Yeah.
Can't you be a Comcaster?
Yeah, because his whole beef is like, hey, if you're gonna bring someone like Trump on your podcast and you're a comedian, you fuck with them.
Right.
You ask him his stuff, or then you fuck with him.
And
What
that
are you
would be the
doing?
same if Joe Biden showed up on Kamala Harris or any. You fuck with them.
any politician.
Yeah.
Like Between Two Ferns, where he just
God.
he gets somebody on there.
Dude, I fucking loved Between Two Ferns.
What happened to that? Was the best use of podcasting ever, and we get Rogan as the top podcast. Why is that not? And it's still
I think the movie, the movie was the final death knell on it. And plus, I think Zach probably just didn't want to do it anymore.
I can see him getting bored with it.
Yeah,
it almost seemed like he was bored with it while he was doing it, to be honest.
And he knew. I think he knew the joke ran its course, and he let it end.
He's one of, and he doesn't get enough credit for being like one of the most inspirational comics of the last 20 or 30 years, and he just doesn't get his recognition for that. But he's one of the names that gets overlooked too much, I think.
Join the club.
Yeah. Oh, you? Wait, not you.
Yeah, but the inability
I gotta get Blind Mike on the phone.
Some comedians of not
hello, Blind Mike,
are just laying down with one side is just sad. Actually, it's a sad commentary for comedy if you just have comedians laying over for politicians.
Yeah. The whole thing getting in bed with. There has never been a time in the past where comics gravitated toward being friends with politicians or wanted to be in that circle. I don't know.
Like when Bill Burr's been making the rounds, he was like on Kimmel and stuff like that. And it's funny seeing comments about Bill Burr now. They're like, "Oh, he's so woke," and this and that. And it's like Bill Burr has always been what he has been.
Right.
So why are you surprised on his feelings?
Just thinking about that time where Michael Pepper was graduating Princeton, because there were a lot of anti-Nixon comedians. Yeah, but nobody was actually saying, "Oh, I'm a McGovern guy." Like comedians weren't endorsing George McGovern just because they were anti-Nixon. They somewhat left him alone, but they didn't gravitate towards wanting to be in his circle and wanting to be his friend and be part of that whole thing. It's just it's a strange phenomenon where comedians embrace politicians as kind of rock star famed people that we want to get close to. It's ugly. It's ugly.
It is.
Do you want to do any showbiz or no? Because
I got a couple of stories we can kill some time with.
Yeah, let's do that. We'll go to showbiz. I was going to play news, but screw the news. I'm sick of the news. Aren't you sick of the news?
Yeah, I mean, we all, yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for showbiz.
And now, bringing you the latest in entertainment news from Hollywood, New York, and East Bumfuck, Montana. Here's our chief entertainment correspondent, Ron Kane. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showbiz.
I'd just like to point out before we get started here that GD is looking like that dog's butt. That from. Steven's ordering eggs and cheese. Remember that when I thought I saw Jesus in that dog's butt, but it turned out to be GD, not Jesus.
Yes.
That's what he's looking like now, that little symbol that was
Oh,
in the
wait,
dog's
we can finally do the Minucci's thing.
We had
Yeah.
Minucci.
Welcome to Minucci's.
Where is it? We lost our Minucci thing?
Welcome to Minucci's.
Nope, it's there. Yeah, everybody, welcome to Showbiz. Yeah, make sure you eat at Minucci's this weekend. They have the $5 Elon special, but you're going to need to dig deep to get those chunks of real chocolatey goodness. So come on down to Minucci's, $5 for the Elon special, and be prepared to dig.
Welcome to Minucci's.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I actually have to get out of here. I have to go to the car rental place, and
all right, go rent the car.
Oh, you get to go and cash in on your manager special.
Oh, that's I didn't know he was a guy who drove a stick like that. But
So eat at Minucci's this weekend. Yeah. So this is the rapper T.I., and about a year or two ago, he started waiting in the stand-up. So now he's going to record a special.
Don't we have enough people waiting into stand-up? Why don't you just go into politics like everybody else and stay away from stand-up? Thank you.
Now, you may not know this, Ron. I'm just asking. Do you know if he's writing his own material, or someone else is writing it for him? Because that's the guy that was in Ant-Man and the Wasp, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he was amusing there, but I'm sorry, go ahead.
He's definitely had some help. I would not doubt if he has like a ghostwriter working with him.
Okay, yeah, because I can see him not being that funny if he has to think of it on his own. Because to me, he's just amusing, not comical.
Yeah, yeah, he's got the money to hire people. Probably,
Okay.
he can bring in stand-up writers. So, but still, even with that, it all depends on how you deliver the material and shit like that.
Right.
I mean, you could have the best comedic writer in the world behind you, but if you don't have the delivery and timing, what does it matter?
Definitely, it's something that you need experience and practice in doing. It's not like anybody can just go up and read Nate Bargatze's shtick and do it well, or you can pick any top comedian. Just go out there and do the same material and do it well. You have to actually have that performing skill. That I think this is the thing that most open mic level comics don't ever appreciate. It's like, oh, I got funny stuff. Yeah, it's funny, but have you tried performing it? And that's where it dies.
Well, Jamie Foxx has even talked about this. He was like back when he was like doing Ray and stuff like that. And because he came from stand-up, and then he would go do stand-up, and he had like these movies and stuff. And he talked about this one time. He's at the Comedy Store. He went up. He said, yeah, I had a good set. People were laughing and things like that. But he's like, it's kind of like a fame laugh. They're going to give you the laugh because I'm this guy. And he
almost
talked
like
about
the applause sign is going off.
Yes. So he does his set. He's off stage and he's outside the room, and the next comic is up. And all Jamie hears is like fucking roaring laughter, just, hit after hit. And it's Chris Tucker up on stage. Jamie said he went into the showroom and he said, Chris is just fucking murdering. And he said at that point, he talked to his manager and he said, here, I want you to take my awards and shit from me because it's not helping me. It's not making me funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So
But I appreciate that for a guy at his level to have that much self-awareness to say, yeah, they're just giving me laughs because I'm Jamie Foxx.
Wow. Yeah.
I produced a comedy show, and this is a few years ago, and one of the comedians called me at the last minute and says, I can't make it. I said, oh, we can cover your time. It's no big deal. And he goes, yeah, but it's not that. It's just that I had this joke, this new material that I really want to try. I've done it at open mics, but I've never done it for a real comedy show. And I really want to do this joke to see how it works. And I said, well, tell me the joke. And he gave me the joke. And what we did was there was a bachelorette party going on in the club. And I had I had the woman that was getting married, the bride-to-be, come up on stage and read his material, tell his jokes for him. and she got laughs. She actually got laughs for the stuff.
Yeah.
I would suggest. I know we have to move on with showbiz, but I would suggest checking out Carlos Valencia's Comedy by Proxy. Basically, he has people write jokes and he reads them on tape, and it's terrible. And it's terrible by intent, but it's hysterical for somebody who understands what he's doing and gets it. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to watch. All right, we can move on.
All right. I know you guys watch Fuji TV out of Japan, but this is a big scandal currently happening at Fuji TV in Japan. This guy, I don't know, Mashir Naka, he's apparently wrapped up in a sex scandal right now that has Japan in a twist. So they're demanding that he leave, but he's saying that the allegations are false and he doesn't want to leave. So Japan is experiencing what we experience in entertainment too.
But now the thing is, Japan takes some shit very, very seriously, especially when it comes to CEO responsibility in companies. And there, I mean, literally, you can look this up. There are a number of people who've committed harikari, behind that kind of stuff. So he's fighting for his life.
When you say committed harikari, you mean done play-by-play for a Cubs game?
Absolutely, which could be worse than death depending on the season.
Right.
All right, moving on. So this is just funny. So this is Billy Ray Cyrus, and
is he married to that other
God.
girl? What's her name? Something
Right,
Cyrus.
Take it easy, interrupter. So this is Billy Ray Cyrus, and he performed at one of the Trump inauguration shows, but apparently it went completely off the rails for him because there's video out there of him just pacing around on stage in the dark, listening to a song. They say that he was like really out of it, so he may have been drunk or on something that has not been confirmed, but he did embarrass himself. But I mean, besides being at the Trump inauguration, he's Billy Ray Cyrus. So
right. He looks like he's ready for the Oak Ridge Boys. But I remember over the summer, he was in the audience at a Trump rally, and Trump was talking about your dumb liberal daughter. That's so weird to even guy is on your side, but to bring up like I hate your daughter, and the guy just take it, and then you continue to support that guy who just bashed your kid.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that at all. I mean, there's just some things that's just
you can bash me. You bash my kid. We're enemies now. I mean, yeah.
And that's what I don't understand. I do not get that about. Well, I don't get that about people in general, but especially the right wingers or the people that Trump have, like Ted Cruz.
He's emasculated them.
Yeah, talks about his wife like she was a dog, and Mitch McConnell, same thing. All of these guys, he just like goes after their wives and their kids, and they still like roll over and say, well, "Yes, massa." I thought, honestly, now I know what blacks went through. They just roll over and go, "Yes, massa." I think I understand it now. I didn't understand my ancestors until now that I've seen conservatives and how they bend over for Trump. Now I understand how my people got in trouble.
Awful lot of black guys in that I'm seeing now, at least on my Twitter, are just pro right wing, pro Trump. It's
now I see what happened to my people. I understand now.
Well, the thing is, too, I mean, Billy Ray Cyrus knows that he can't leave Miley alone with Trump because that could be bad.
Yeah.
For Trump, she'd wear him out.
Sony debuts tech players where tech players can see, shoot,
so, Sony apparently has the tech available that you could start when you start playing some of these games. They'll be able to have smells associated with them. Like
remember Bugs Bunny with the what was his name? The Elmer J. Fudd with smell-o-vision. That was a joke in the 1940s. It's come to fruition. Elmer J. Fudd is the Nostradamus of the 1940s.
Well, I remember when I was a kid, my parents took me down to the Inner Harbor, and like at the power plant at one time, they used to have like all sorts of shit in there, and they had like a 3D movie theater that it was like sights and smells. So you would go in there and watch this 3D movie, and then be like, "Oh, look, these are some oranges." Then you hear like,
They'd have a vent with orange.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I can't see how they. It's interesting that in a video game how they're going to accomplish that. But you know what?
Yeah, I mean, for Grand Theft Auto, it would be if they have detailed smells of the city. You know, you pull up a certain neighborhood. It's like, God damn, this smells like shit here.
Yeah, the parent walks into the kid's room and goes, "My God, clean up this room. It smelled worse before you started playing."
Yeah. Wow.
So there you go. That's I think I may have mentioned this, but Rory
Yeah.
Wood Jr. is out on Hilarious, but then he's also back with Have I Got News for You on CNN. His special is very good if you have not seen it, so please check it out.
I'm gonna check it out next week. I don't like to watch other people's material before I perform.
Yeah, it's a solid hour, but I mean Roy's a fucking funny guy.
He is. I really like him. I really think he's hilarious.
This is Tom Cruise because another Mission Impossible movie is coming called The Final Reckoning, or is it? And this is dropping May 23rd of this year.
Okay, Ron, is
it
part
really,
of the title?
is that really part of the, or is it part of the?
No, the only part is The Final Reckoning, but I wish it did say, or is it?
Yeah, all right. I wouldn't be surprised because that's a way to keep people wanting another dopey movie. Now, I don't know if you saw this, but in the hype for the movie, I think the director said at the screening, a woman had a heart attack. She didn't die, but the movie gave her a heart attack.
Yeah, and then that's just hyperbole because then he's like, "Well, I'm not going to tell you what the scene is or anything like that."
Yeah.
So probably someone said, "Oh my God, that's action sequence almost gave me a heart attack."
Well, or it was the popcorn. It was the buttered popcorn, and he just clogged the audience at the right time.
I think we can up one them on this because this show has been known to give people ass cancer from just watching it. So this show. So I think
that should be your slug line. Watch us get ass cancer.
Right.
And enjoy the suffering, everybody. I think we were talking about men fighting yesterday, so there we go.
It looks like Billy Bob Thornton there with muscles and a big head in the chair. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I got just Billy Bob Thorntonitis in my eyes.
Yep. So enjoy the suffering, everybody. It's Wednesday, and
a lot of that comes.
There you go.
All right. Well, that was interesting. Thank you for Roy Wood Jr. on Hilarious. Hilarious. That's out already, or it's coming out?
Yeah. No, it is out.
Maybe I should get this Hilarious thing, huh? You think I should?
Yeah, they're dropping a new special every month for the rest of the year.
Have you seen Ronnie Chang's special? I've just seen clips of it because I think Ronnie Chang is funny anyway. I like Ronnie Chang. I think he's funny.
Never heard of him.
I don't know if he's funny like just in snippets or if his whole special is funny.
No, his special was pretty good. It's he does a lot of storytelling, but no, it's funny. I mean, Ronnie is a funny guy as well.
Yeah.
I feel like GD not knowing who this person is, and you know what?
Comedians who are funnier than Segura.
You're a bum, get out of town. I like that part the best. So that's the show for you. I mean, it was a good show. Buy Michael Pepper's book. It's called Royal Edge. It's at Amazon. Have you guys ever been in a room with any royalty ever, like any kind of, even if it's the king of Shitopia or something? No.
Does Queen Latifah count?
Yeah, she counts. I think she counts the money, right?
And Aretha Franklin, she's the Queen of Soul.
You've been in the same room with Aretha Franklin?
No, she had left when I got there.
Oh. You seem like this is weird because I know I have this thing where my camera gets bright and dark and stuff. You seem very washed out. You almost seem whiter than Ron Kane at this moment right now.
Yeah, it's genetics.
It is genetics.
I mean, I probably mentioned this before, but my wife is a descendant of Charlemagne.
not the rapper, but the
I don't like that Charlemagne guy.
Yeah, the Charlemagne, as in from France.
Wow,
that Charlemagne.
Wow, so you're around royalty every day now. What is the bloodline there? How far removed from the royal bloodline is she? Do you know?
It's like direct. I mean, like blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not like cousins. It's like.
So they must be deeply ashamed of her. Because
Charlemagne hasn't complained.
Oh, right.
I think they have a family. I think they have a family crest, but I'm not sure. Matter of fact, they do have a family crest. It's in the.
I have a family Colgate, so
yeah,
we'll get around to it. And you have a family lady Schick, as I've seen in the promo for the show. The promo.
It's shared. It's not mine. We share it.
Okay. Where is? I just want to share this before we get out of here. If you got like 30 seconds to see that thing in front of my face there. Scan it with your phone right now and just go buy 2 tickets. Buy one for you and one for the guy who won't be going with you.
Yeah, you can put it there. Like, yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, all right. Stephen is not here. He's not here. So I will have to say the words myself. Thanks for coming, and don't forget to
sending your parents a letter telling them you're a whore. I'm sending your
me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me now.